She's ready.
There it is. There's the bugle. Let's do it. You know what that sound means? It means it's time for the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. It's Thursday. We're approaching the end of the week, but we're not there. So it's time to kick it into gear and get our asses going. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Good morning. Good morning.
Howdy.
Back.
Howdy.
Back in South
You
Florida.
guys stationary now. How is
Yeah.
Tampa? Tell me about
Shay,
Tampa.
how was it back on the road?
It was cool. It was fun. Get out.
We had thank you for a lot of words. As always, you were very descriptive. And I could tell you how
we
it
have
was.
to start the morning before we can go any further. We have to start the morning by obviously recognizing that Steve Nudelberg is not here. Our father is going under the knife this morning. He is having some surgery done to get some minor repairs. Nothing crazy, but nobody likes to have to go underneath the knife. So we're wishing
Tire
him
change, oil rotation, you know. It's a couple
we got prayers, we got positive vibes, we got all the things going his way that it works out well for him today. So, Dad, good luck to you this morning. We love you.
Some thoughts. I know if you're thinking about him, shoot him some thoughts. It would help him. He is a nervous Nelly, and so
I tried to get Kai to send him a video this morning, and he wasn't having it. So I was like, all right. I tried. I don't know.
Did he start school yet? Is he back in school?
He started school yesterday. So yeah, so we got a ton of content to get to. We're gonna talk about it's Joe Rogan's birthday today. So we're gonna talk a little bit about Joe Rogan, which is always a hot topic. We're gonna talk about what it means to be a hustler, because I think we can debunk that myth a little bit and some of the things they talk about. We got some great motivational music. We got some shout outs to get to. But before we can do any of that, let's wake up.
Wake up, everybody! Get up! Get up! Get up! Get up! Wake up! Come on! Come on! Wake up, everybody! Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody! No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking. Time for thinking ahead. Come on now.
So first, a recap of yesterday. Yesterday, we had our second GOTB live call, which was an absolute, in my personal opinion, it was a fantastic call. Lot of engagement, a lot of interaction. We got to share some use cases, and we got to share some case studies from people within the group that have been using the philosophies and the tactics. We got to talk a lot about tactically what we were going to do, and just an overall great call. So shout out to the GOTB live crew. Fantastic stuff. Shout out to, and I don't want to screw up his last name, so let me get this right. Shout out to Harris Fanaroff, who I had a virtual coffee with yesterday. He is the VP of sales at OKA. Just an awesome dude, a Lehigh grad. We connected on the Lehigh Lafayette thing, and just 20 minutes that was really well spent, kind of connecting, sharing stories, and it was just really awesome. And then
what would be the goal of a virtual coffee? Like, that is to a T what we teach of what you should be looking for in the first virtual coffee.
It's kind of what we talked about in the GOTB call yesterday. Was like, you have to earn the right to talk professionally first, and shout out to Shelby, who had a great case study from something that he had recently done in that past week. So, that's the idea, is that if conversations are the number one thing that we should be having, then what comes out of those conversations. Is it a friendship? Is it an opportunity? Is it an opportunity to introduce somebody? Is it another person? There's all different kinds of ways to just have an opportunity or something good come from that conversation. But Harris was awesome. Like, it was 20 minutes of us just going back and forth and talking about how we got to where we were. And we were both super curious about each other. So it was a lot of fun. And then you guys traveled back from Tampa and are back in, stationary now. So thanks for.
We've been back on the road a lot now. We're going to different offices. We were in Lamarck, and for some reason, everybody is giving hats now. It's the new fad where I just looked in my room and it's like I have like 17 new hats, and every station we go, they're like, "Do you guys want a hat?" I'm like, yeah,
I'm waiting for the request of Shay. We need hats.
Right,
we're not doing
thinking,
it, Shay.
I was like,
we
just make a hat with a 1%? I know Weston Jewelers is now giving out hats too. Jesse's big on it.
Is Eddie Dykes in the house?
He is in here.
Jesse, I got to come out there, by the way, because I got to pick up Gabby's gift from her birthday, which I still haven't gone and picked up. But I also want to see the hats when I go out there. But no, we're not doing hats. We're strictly staying in the shirt game. And one more shout out, because I want to give a shout out to Dan Nelson, who we talked about posting. We always talk about posting. We always talk about sharing. Dan goes to Sublicious in Coral Springs or in Parkland and, has a great experience there, eats a great sandwich and shares it. Little did he know that I actually managed a Sublicious when I was in high school. That was my second job. My first job was at Publix. My second job was at the Sublicious in Cooper City, which he did not know there was a location there. So shout out to anybody that's ever eaten at a Sublicious or worked at a Sublicious, because it is a great spot to get a sandwich. They do something special.
Did they close in Cooper City?
No, it's still open. They changed ownership.
New owners?
So,
okay.
Yeah, gotcha. So actually somebody that I went to high school with bought the Sublicious, which I was like, that's wild. But they do something very special with the sandwiches where they wrap the top of the sandwich with an extra piece of meat.
So there's been 2 instances, I guess 3 now, because now that you're an author, that's like the third notable thing, I guess. But there's 2 times where I've been with Mark, and there's been moments where we're like, all right, that's pretty cool. And when you go into like some of these old time places like a Flanagan's or like all these, like there's all signed by old people. Mark had his own plaque in Sublicious of a picture of him. And then while he's recruiting South Florida, we go back to Cooper City for the first time. And the lady at the front desk tells him that he's a notable alumni. And I was like, oh, we're losing him. And so like he walks out like this giddy grin after going into the school. And he's like, I'm a notable alumni from Cooper City now. I was like, oh, God. They set the bar real low there.
It's always nice to get a little bit of recognition. So last piece of content before we get to some other stuff is, and in fact, Chris White says, Las Patas Hoagies does that too. Absolutely, they do. Las Patas is a great sandwich shop. So if you can find a Las Patas or you can find a Sublicious, definitely recommend doing that. But today, the national day for today is National Sons and Daughters Day, which we have done at nauseum on this show. So we're not going to go into a bunch of content about it. And also, I feel like there's like 7 of these days. Like sons have their own day, daughters have their own day. Then there's a National Sons
Kids Day,
and Daughter Day. But my point to this is it's never a bad time to share about your kids, right? In the GOTB live call yesterday, oh my God, we have the picture. I didn't know we were going to have this picture. So there's an update from Jules that he is in daycare. He's doing really well, and our daycare post pictures. And they posted this picture of him, which obviously I immediately started laughing at and loved. We then shared it with the family. And for those of you who are connected to Justo Ray, Gabby's dad, who is also KB Islander News, he handles the Key Biscayne paper down there. He memed him yesterday. He put him on Instagram and on LinkedIn with a meme. So it was a meme-worthy picture, but great stuff happening. Shay, give us an update in your world. Oh, he's muted. Or we lost you. There you go.
10 months as of yesterday. So fast tracking to that first birthday. Goal is trying to get her to walk by Halloween so she can just walk and get her own candy. So that'll be good.
Ah, it's awesome. I love that. We're approaching the crawl stage. I feel like he's really starting to move around on his tummy, which is exciting. But as you know, I think Laura pointed out yesterday in our GOTB live call, she's gotten a lot of great reaction to sharing real moments with her family and her kids. Moments about being a mother, moments about being a parent, and there's never a bad time to share that, and I think people in LinkedIn land or the LinkedIn police say this isn't Facebook and that's not what this platform is for, but the engagement would tell you vastly differently, right? Like personal content is what gets the most engagement, and it's what relates you to people. It's what people can connect on. So on National Sons and Daughters Day, it's a great opportunity to share something about your kids. Jake, you don't have a kid, but you have nephews. What do you got? What do you have to say about it?
Being an uncle is like the greatest thing ever because you like deal with them and they love you and they look at you like you're a parent, but then you're like, I can't wait to give you back, like, it's great to see your kids. It's great to have them around. I know we have a big event on Sunday, which we're excited about with the whole fam.
Jules is getting his baptism happening on Sunday. We're going to be doing that this weekend, so we're super excited for that as well. But today is Joe Rogan's birthday, and I think in today's world, Joe Rogan's a hot topic. He, has built a platform for himself that reaches a lot of people. And I think he lives in the mindset of it's not my job to filter other people. And he has a platform with the Joe Rogan Experience that has a wide array of people that come on it. And I've been a Joe Rogan fan for a long time. I like Joe Rogan back when he was doing stand-up comedy, and I thought he had a really interesting take on life and the world. And I think we have some Joe Rogan content to share, right? Let's go.
Jay, first video, please.
Life is filled with so many different kinds of experiences that are available, and that's one of the things that you sort of open up to when you relax. When you relax and you don't worry about what you look like, you don't worry about what you sound like, you don't worry about how people feel about you, because you've thought about all these different things on your own, and you've kind of corrected as many things as you can correct given that time period. But you feel comfortable that you're on a good path. Mm-hmm. Then you sort of can entertain ideas that maybe you wouldn't if you were insecure. Sure. Or more insecure. I think you have to be insecure if you're finite. We're worried about death. We're worried about disease. We're worried about loved ones. We're always going to be, in a certain sense, insecure. We're worried about being sexually attractive. We're worried about being socially interesting. Sure. There's always going to be some form of insecurity, but that's also part of the balance of life too. It's like you don't ever get to bliss. What you get to do is chase bliss. You get to enjoy the moment. The moment is amazing, and it'll go away, and you'll be fucking tired, and you got to get up, and you got to drive in traffic, and you're not going to like it, and you got to, do some shit you don't want to do. There's a lot of times where I work out where I don't want to, and I make myself do it.
So I think if you follow Joe Rogan and you've seen his evolution, him as a stand-up comedian, one thing that's kind of been the through line through all of his content is he's always had a very unapologetic approach, right? He's always kind of been that guy that's willing to say the thing that everybody might be thinking, but nobody's willing to say. And when he did his stand-up comedy way back, he had this perspective on the de-evolution of humans. And he would be talking about, like, we rely on all of this technology, yet none of us know how it works. And so, like, as soon as something breaks, we're all completely useless, right? Like, having your Wi-Fi go out in your house, you're done. You just you have no value anymore. You don't know how to operate. You can't do anything. And he parlayed that into this podcast world way before anybody else. And he leveraged his own platform to continue to grow himself, to learn from other people. And I don't know what you took away from what he was talking about right there, but being comfortable with the journey, right? And I talked about this on Monday with some of my leaders. My favorite quote from coaching or from any leader ever was from Vince Lombardi. And it was, we are going to relentlessly chase perfection knowing full well we won't get there in order to find excellence. And I think that's what Joe Rogan is talking about when he says bliss. Like, we're all chasing bliss, but we can never get there.
Well, to me, it's like climbing the mountain. We always talk about it. You talk about it to an extent, that every day is another opportunity to climb the mountain, and it resets every day. And I think understanding that part of it, because I think especially with the new work-life balance, like we worked our balls off in football, but we loved it. Like I look back on it, I enjoyed being in the office at 10 o'clock. And now there's all these videos coming out of camp of the team building activities, and we're going to have one tomorrow from Hard Knocks. So I'm giving you already a heads up, but like those moments I loved. I knew it was going to be hard after. I even texted you and I said, I know this means we're going to stay for 2 hours more now, but like in this moment, I'm happy. Like I know that this is part of the journey. And so when chasing bliss, you chase those moments and you try to surround yourself with the people and the experiences.
So I think that's a really good point, is that like when he talks about you're going to have to drive in traffic to go somewhere, or you're going to have to work out when you don't want to, it's not that there aren't pieces of it that suck. It's that you're doing those things because you know where it leads you and leads you to the feeling that you want. So I think we get caught up in work-life balance, meaning that like everything should be good all the time. And that's not realistic, right? It doesn't matter what you want to do. It doesn't matter how great you want your marriage to be. It doesn't matter how great of a parent you want to be. It doesn't matter how great you want to be in business. It doesn't mean how healthy you want to be or the kind of shape you want to be in. If you want any of those things, there is going to be a lot of hard and a lot of difficulty that come along with that. So work-life balance doesn't mean that it's all easy. It just means that it's offering you the opportunity to spend the time where it needs to be spent. And if you think that that means, oh, well, that means I get to rob work or take time away from work in order to feed family, not if you expect to be successful at work. It still takes what it takes to be successful. You just have to figure out a way to balance both.
He has a really cool mindset. And a lot of his content is about 90% of it is like showing up, and you'll be successful if you do the work, because most people won't. But I love he has this quote, live your life like you're the hero in the movie. Right. Like everyone's like, poor me. Oh, this is happening to me. Whereas in the movie, the hero wins. No matter the obstacles are hard, and it's part of the journey.
I think that segues us really great into the next piece of content. So let's go to morning motivational music, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to talk about the word hustler and some of the traits that come along with that and some of the myths that come along with that.
That you never seen, something that you never been. But why you gotta act like nothing's wrong? Just get ready for work, 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 work. You see me, I be work, 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 work. You see me do me dirt, 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 dirt. There's something about that work, 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 work. Na 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 na. When you walk out, na 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 na. Before the table turn, 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 turn. Beg you something, please. Baby, don't you leave. Don't leave me stuck here in the streets. If I get another chance to, I would never, no, never neglect you. I mean, who am I to hold your best against you? I just hope that it gets to you. I hope that you see this through. I hope that you see this true. What can I say? Please recognize I'm trying, baby. I feel work. It's me, I feel work. You see me do my da 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 da. Something about that work. When you walk out, la la la.
Work, 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 work. Right? And so, yeah, I'm going to plug it. That's the first chapter of my book, is just do the frickin' work, because that's what it all comes back to all the time. And so this term hustler, which for me has a very different term than I think most people in the entrepreneurial business world. When they hear hustler, they think grinder. They think this guy who's making deals and doing deals and growing and becoming this successful, business entity. Whereas in the sport world, when you hear hustler, that means effort. Right. That means willing to grind a little bit more when everybody else isn't willing to push that little bit extra, doing that one extra sprint, doing that one more bench press, doing one more rep of practice to say, no, we're not going to leave here until we get it right. So hustler, two very different words. And I think that's what it should mean in the business world. I think when you look at the hustler, they're just willing to do the work. And if you equate hustler to entrepreneur, then some of those similarities from the sports world have to carry over. And there's some myths that I want to talk about as well.
And I think that directly kind of comes from the system, though. The system breeds you as if you go to school, you get good grades, you take the internship, you're going to do this, you'll rise the ranks in corporate America, you'll be a VP, you'll work all these hours. That's not really the journey. And that doesn't fit a lot of people to do it that way. And so I'm happy you went there because we didn't script that. And my first question to you was going to be, how do you look at the word hustler in a negative or positive way?
Right. So like Gary V is a hustler, right? Like people would look at him in the word of the entrepreneur and call him a hustler. And I'm not sure where you grabbed the article from, but they gave us 6 traits that you're a true hustler. And the number one thing that they said was you are unconcerned with what could go wrong. And I think that's an attention-grabbing headline. And I also think that's full of shit, right? Yeah. Like, it's not that you're unconcerned with what could go wrong. It's that you're not willing to spend your time and energy living around or thinking about what will go wrong. It's, yeah, I know that there's negative that could happen, but I'm going to focus on building a path to success and making quick decisions and iterating on those quick decisions in order to give myself the best opportunity to be successful. It's not about like throwing caution to the wind and I don't care what happens.
Whatever, right.
You know,
and it's also having a sense of ownership of your own ability or your own mindset where if it doesn't go bad, you're not going to be crushed. Like you understand.
Well, so I think that kind of brings you to the next one that they say is you're insanely dedicated. And to me, that dedication or commitment is to finding a way. It's not to not being wrong. It's not to slamming my head against a wall 1,000 times trying to do something that isn't working. It's having the willingness to be like water, if you will, with Bruce Lee, that there's going to be obstacles. And as obstacles come up, I'm going to find a way to either go over or around or go under. I'm not going to try to go through every obstacle, which I think is what some of a hustler mentality people think is like they just plow through obstacles and they, throw caution to the wind and they just do all the time. Gary Vee puts out an insanely unreal amount of content, not because he's on all the time. It's because the camera is on all the time. And he's documenting everything that happens so he can take a 10-minute session and turn it into 30 pieces of content that lasts him 5 days, posting 6 times a day. So it's about being smart and it's about figuring out how to do what you need to do.
Number 3 on the list is probably completely opposite than what the negative connotation of being a hustler is. You play the long game, which couldn't be any further different than the way that they talk about hustlers in the business world. They're hustling for the next deal. Once they get it, they're out and they don't stay in it or don't have a passion for what they're doing.
And we'll go to overtime.
We're going to spend a couple minutes of overtime here because like Greg Goldstein says, like, I think everyone in the huddle is a hustler. I would agree. Everybody in the huddle is willing to dedicate themselves to getting up a little bit earlier or ensuring that they're doing what they need to do in order to be here at 8 o'clock. Or they're finding the time to watch it on the replay. They're doing what's necessary to find something for themselves to give them a little bit of an edge. So, when you look at the next one, which is create your own opportunities, I think that that's a mindset about how they look at everything. It's not about, they don't look at everything as binary. Everything's not black and white. Everything's not yes or no. They look at things as, okay, there could be more than one way to do this. Let's make the best decision on how to move forward right now. and let's quickly make a decision on whether or not we feel like this is working in order to be able to course correct and get us back on track. That's not yes or no. That's not black or white. That's binary. That's more than binary. There's lots of different options for you to choose from.
And then the last one, of course, is you believe in your own potential. We touched on that in the first part of how they all kind of intertwine with each other. But if it does go wrong, you know that you can correct it, get back on the right track, and we're hustlers.
And the last one, which I think I love this one more than any of them all, is that you're always moving. Which again, I think the way they say that is a misnomer. I think they're preaching something that's not real. Like the person who moves job to job every year is not a hustler, right? That's a person who can't figure out how to focus on the work that needs to be done and play the long game. It's the opposite of a hustler, right? The hustler,
in all of your strategic thinking, you should be hustling. You should be hustling to make it better and get to the next point. Because if you're staying the same, you're losing. It's
cliche. Correct. So it's not about necessarily moving. It's not about moving the target. It's not about, it's about growing. It's about continually adding. It's about hitting that first accomplishment, no matter how long it takes, and then continuing to say, okay, I got that in the arsenal now, or I got that in the toolbox, or I have that accomplishment. What's the next step? Where am I going next? I'm constantly growing instead of moving. So to be a hustler, you just got to be willing to do the work. So great choice of music this morning. A little bit of extra overtime for everybody. Shout out to Dad who's going into surgery. We're praying for you. We love you. Have a great day. We'll be back to finish the week tomorrow. Let's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. Give you one more night to get this.